Yeah. We get lit, we get fly, we talk stuff, we get high. But to the masses, we just a podcast called Verified. I'm your host. I am Joe Paul. We are here with the king of Syria, Mr. Abraham. He is a truly remarkable individual, a very, very outspoken person. His Instagram is filled with the most uplifting and raw, in your face, accurate account of what's going on in society. When people choose to not speak on it, Abraham has the, as we like to say in the Jewish world, the chutzpah to actually tell you how it really is. Mr. Abraham Hamra, how are you? Pleasure to
What
be here.
is going on, my man? Thank you for having me on this podcast.
I'm just happy to have you so we can have like a conversation, because I know we're going to get into some deep, nerdy history
Let's
shit.
go, bro. Let's go, bro. I can say, let's just start the right way with the Salamu alaikum, people know
Alaikum salam. Shalom
that's
alaikum.
how white colonizers communicate. From Syria, my white colonization was trained there. So
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like, I mean, you were definitely giving off like white colonizer vibes.
yeah,
You know,
100%.
yeah, I would say maybe like, Polish, Russian, Lithuanian. No one would ever think that you were from Syria. Oh, there are
Yeah.
Jews from Syria. Oh,
Well, it's Poland, Syria. It's really Damascus. We changed the name when you're referring to the Jews, but
there you go. That's why the last name is Witz, Damascus.
Bro, you want to hear the funniest thing is in Syria on our passports for Jews, it would refer to you as a Jew, but it wouldn't write Jew. We would be called Musawi. Musawi means the people of Moses.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I actually like that. I mean, it sounds like a smite, but it really is. I mean, it's a term of endearment.
It's a white colonizing term, 100%.
So let's jump right into the story. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
so
brother.
you are a Syrian refugee, and I guess people don't even know how to acknowledge or even know how to even confront that when they see somebody like you that definitely is a white colonizer. You can obviously tell, but when people think about the I guess the stereotypical Jewish identity, they think of the Borough Park rabbis, or Crown Heights, and the rabbis with payas, or wearing the traditional Orthodox Jewish outfit, or they have a very, very misguided interpretation of who exactly we are. So I wanted people to hear it right from you, because you're not the stereotypical Jew, but you are the stereotypical Jew, because people don't know who we fucking are. So, Abraham, take it away. Tell us your story.
So the United States and what it is to be a Jew is one-sided. I'm nothing against Ashkenazi Jews, but that's the culture of Jews in America. That's what people associate us with. So when somebody finds out I'm Jewish, the first thing is, oh, you have matzo ball soup on Saturday, right? Or you eat this gefilte fish. And the reality is, I didn't even know what gefilte fish was when I came from Syria, right? That's not our culture. It's not our food.
I hate gefilte fish.
Nothing against it. I listen. I'm not a big fan of it. I had tried it once before, the real Ashkenaz way. I couldn't really eat it. Then I tried it the Moroccan Ashkenaz way, and that was good because it was spicy and it was fine.
Moroccans have some of the best food ever. Like, I hate spicy food, but I will eat Moroccan food with some spice, especially, and the women from Morocco. Holy fuck, Jesus, they some badass Moroccan chicks. Man, I'm sorry. Continue. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this Jewish Moroccan chick that I know, and she's just bad as hell. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
They're also strong. So I mean, it comes with the looks, and they don't take no shit either.
Hey, listen, I like to get my ass kicked. I don't care. I'm an instigator.
No, but it's honestly a very sad tragedy that nobody really knows of our existence, and there's 850,000 to 1 million Jews from around Arab countries that were displaced between 1948 to the present.
Now, we had a real Nakba. That was a real catastrophe.
100%, but we didn't cry victim. And so what happens is when you don't cry victim, you don't get the UNRWAs in the world that treat your children and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren as refugees and panhandling the entire time. Because let's be straight with each other. I'm very blunt. That's exactly the Palestinian movement. They've been crying victim from day one, even though every single war, single attack was started by the Arabs. There's a very interesting Arab saying there. It says, "Darabni ubaka usabatni ushtaka." It means he beat me and cried, then raced me to complain. Who does that sound like to you, right? They throw a missile, we knock them out, they start crying. Oh my God, it's Israel, they're committing genocide. Stop throwing missiles, you morons. I mean, but it's so that story, that the Palestinian story, took over the entire narrative of the Middle East. And interestingly enough, the government of the United States in 2008 recognized that the stories of the Jews of Arab worlds were being erased, were being minimized because they were not being told, their rights weren't being fought for. And it was true. 850,000 to 1 million Jews were made refugees from Arab countries. $300 billion of assets were forfeited. And
for people that are listening, that's the definition of, get ready for it, ethnic cleansing. So when you guys 100%. use it in the context that you use it, which is completely fucking wrong, just like the other term of genocide and apartheid, and we'll get into all of that. But ethnic cleansing is the removal, either by force or by death of a certain segment of society that is other than. So when you look at and it's not a migration. I hate when people say, oh, the Jews migrated from, the Arab world, back to, yeah, that sounds very, very poetic, but in all reality, they took the same approach that the FLN did in Algeria, which is basically terrorize them to make them leave.
So terror is between terrorism on us, on the communities, discrimination, violence, spat of violence against communities. But the United States actually realized this. And I want you to guess which congressperson introduced House Resolution 185 at the 2008 Congress, which stated it would be inappropriate and unjust for the United States to recognize Palestinian rights or in any form without simultaneously speaking about and demanding justice for Jewish refugees of Arab worlds and Iran. I want you to guess which congressperson was one of the two in the bipartisan approval of this bill.
Now, I'm pretty familiar with this, but I forgot who. So it's either, is it Chuck or is it Jerry?
Jerry Nadler.
See, okay. As long as I got it right, I feel confident in myself. So I kind of knew that it was Jerry Nadler because based on 100%. Based on his age, I don't think Chuck had the power back then when that resolution was actually drafted, because he just basically in the past 10 years is when he just got that power. But Nadler, he's had some power for a while, and it shocks me. It shocks me the level of cognitive dissonance that these politicians show nowadays. It's like they don't feel. I feel like they're just totally withdrawn from society, and they don't see what we see on the front lines. It's fucking crazy.
I've cracked this the past couple of days, man. After seeing all these headlines, I've cracked this, and once I'm really going to break it down for everybody, you're going to understand clearly what the hell's going on. But Jerry Nadler was one of the congresspersons to move this bill in. Now, before October 7th, Rashida Tlaib tried to recognize the Nakba in a congressional move and through resolution. So I wrote to Jerry Nadler and I started a petition. I'm like, wake up.
I just threw up a little in my mouth when you mentioned that name.
She's horrific. But you know what? As horrible as she is, she's standing with her people. Her people are terrorists. Maybe her people are,
she's standing with her people. Her people are terrorists.
Because the way she mourned over the Shukr's death, the Hezbollah's death, it's disgusting. But she stands with her people. She, unlike some Congress people and unlike some senators who have been completely betraying Jewish interests and turning their backs on us for other people, she stood with her people, regardless of how terribly wrong her people are. But I wrote to Jerry Nadler and I told him, I'm like, look, you introduced this resolution in 2008. Utilize it. Step up. Tell Rashida Tlaib, listen, you introduced the whole thing about the Nakba, talking about displacement of 300 or 350,000 Palestinians, but you didn't mention a word about the displacement of Jews from Arab countries. Now, if you're not familiar with the complete context of this, Khalid al-Azim was the prime minister of Syria. He wrote in his memoirs, page 386 to 387, it was us who demanded the Palestinians or the Arabs leave their homes. And then it was us, it was a matter of weeks or a matter of months that separated our calls for the Palestinians to leave their homes and our appeal to the United Nations to resolve the refugee problem. It was the Arab worlds in 48, accompanied and helped by the British. The colonial British assisted the Arabs with intelligence, and they told these people to leave. When these people left, now where the Rashida comes in is this part of the story in Israel. Now, what people forget are about the Jews that were still living in Syria, in Lebanon, and about to face a mass migration of these hopeful genocidal freaks, right? Because that's why they were leaving. They wanted to see the Jews die and they wanted to come back, marching into lands where Jews have lived forever: Syria, Lebanon.
The Levant. I mean, that's the promised land that that Abraham and God,
Yeah.
that promised to his people, from Mesopotamia to the tip of Egypt.
So a lot of the Palestinians, a lot of the Arabs, I'm not going to call them Palestinians because Jews were called Palestinians. My grandfather would tell you when 1948 happened, they had to collect all the Palestine coins that they had, and they had to dump them in the Syrian River before the Syrian authorities caught them and thought they were conspiring with the Zionist movement, because that's who were using those Palestine coins. So excuse me when I say Palestinian, I'm just referring to them as they're most commonly known.
You can call them Turkish Ottomans.
Yeah, we can do that, or regular Arabs, or whatever. But
I mean, we can call them basically Egyptian, British, Turkish Ottomans, because like everyone had a little piece of them, and they really didn't take.
But
like I had a conversation about this, about when they actually started taking the identity of Palestinians, because they were always referred to, like prior to the 1960s, it was always the Arabs of Palestine, because as you said, Palestine, because of the historical and biblical reference in the biblical reference to the Bible. Is that like using a double, whatever? Everyone understands what I'm saying. It was associated with Jews, so they didn't want to be called Palestinians because Palestine was historically Jewish, and how you could try to erase that from reality is mind-boggling. So, sorry, I went on a little tangent real fast.
No, I love it, bro. It is crazy. But these people left. A lot of them came into Syria. At the same time, a large population of the Syrian Jewish community was leaving because of all the riots that were taking place in Syria. The Harayat that occurred in November of 1947 in Aleppo, which targeted the Jewish community, the discrimination, the mass riots that were erupting all over the Arab world. So the Jews, a lot of the Jews in Syria started leaving before 1948 to Israel. About 30,000 left before, leaving 5,000 Jews in Syria after 48. The Palestinians that came in, a lot of them took the homes of the Jewish community that left to Israel. They took their home as abandoned property in the Jewish quarters, and most of them were placed in refugee camps outside of the Jewish quarters to prey and annoy and harass the Jewish community. Now, the Jewish community post-1948 were banned from immigration, and that is how I didn't leave Syria, right, till 1994. People are like, well, what were you doing there until 1994? We didn't have choice. Jews, so my dad had to leave. We lived in Syria. If my dad had to leave to Poland to sell pants, and which he did, he would have to surrender our passports to the Syrian authorities, to the mukhabarat, and they would come to our house and check in and make sure we didn't escape with our father. It was illegal as a Jew to migrate from Syria until the United States reached a treaty in 1992. And then Assad changed his mind in 93. We came in 94. But we didn't cry victim. My dad would tell me, dude, you speak English. I came here he came, he's 40-something years old with 4 kids already. And he still provided for us. He still gave us a house. He still gave us food. It's dude, you speak fucking English. There's no, sorry for my cursing, but there's no excuse.
I mean, this is my podcast. We could do it. Fuck, shit, cock, balls. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse for you not to be successful. And that was the mindset I grew up with. That is a radically different mindset than the kid in Gaza is getting. The day they're born to the day of they go to college, it's you're miserable. You've been stolen from. You've been robbed. Your dignity has been robbed, because that's the fight. The fight is a fight for dignity. It's not a fight for land. It's a fight for, oh my God, this land that was conquered by Islam once before is now Jewish land.
Right. I could sum it up just by this. What this is all about is getting their lick back. That's it. They want, they got licked, and now they want to. It sounds weird, lick back, but it's they want. This is. I've been saying this since day one. This is about the preservation and the restoration of Islamic honor. It has really nothing to do with actual land, because
No.
if this happened in Lebanon, or if it happened in Syria, or if it happened in, Transjordan before the actual partition, it would be only about getting rid of the Jews. It's about establishing the conquest of the mighty Arabs, which had basically ruled the Middle East for close to 1,000 years, and then the Ottoman Empire with their tremendous fucking mistakes of mismanagement and misgovernment and not taking the right deals and treaties and working with the Jews ultimately caused their collapse, because there was an opportunity for the Ottoman Empire to be saved with just the small, tiny sale of Palestine to the Zionist movement, because Theodor Herzl did try to buy Palestine. Like, there was a fringe story that he teamed up with a bunch of bankers, and he wanted to meet, with the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire in order to buy the entire land.
And they started buying, by the way. They
Right,
started buying.
they did. I mean, subsequently, he wasn't allowed to meet with him. There's a funny letter that the Sultan wrote to his friend, who was friends with Theodor Herzl. He's like, if you're as good of friends with me as you are with Mr. Herzl, basically tell him never to show his fucking face around here ever again. I mean, wow. in different words, it's like, if you're such a friend with me as you're a friend to him, truly you will inform him that his presence is never to be shown ever again, within my downsile or within my kingdom. So he was unsuccessful with buying Palestine. But
interesting, that I did not know. I know they bought stuff in the 1800s, 1700s. Jews were living there forever. They had continual presence. But yeah, no, it's. So I wrote to Nadler that time, and I said, hey, why aren't you amending her resolution to recognize the Nakba and correct it to recognize not only their Nakba and their disaster that was caused by Arab armies, but how about our story? Stand up for the resolution you passed. What is wrong with you? Complete silence. Complete goddamn silence. And now we're seeing media's attacking us. We're seeing the media continue to report misinformation. And the other day, I had such an urge to come on my Instagram and to start blasting the Washington Post and to start blasting the CNN and BBC over these headlines. But are we playing a game of whack-a-mole? Like, we're not actually sitting and saying, what's the pattern? What the hell is going on? And how do we develop a strategy? All we're doing year after year, week after week, day after day, is filming ourselves being outraged at outrageous headlines. We have to be outraged, sure, but that's just like the first step. What are we doing after?
I wonder, are they catering to our outrageousness, that they know that if they report and they say the Israeli occupied territories, or they say strike on children, or Israel strike on opposition forces, kills 20 children. It's like, are they doing that for our purposes? Because we know that we're going to eat that shit up and post it and repost it. Are we adding fuel to that fire? Are they doing it for our purposes?
I don't even think they're thinking of it. I think what has been happening is we need to first look at the pattern. What is the pattern here, right? And I'm not getting political. I really don't give a shit about politics, but I want to be straight up. What is the pattern between who is misreporting? Do you see Fox News or the New York Post misreport on Israel or on Jewish anti-Semitism that's coming from the left? No, they don't, honestly.
Which is crazy. Prior to October 7th, I would have thought that everything out of Fox was complete nonsense and bullshit.
Right. But I'm just stating patterns that I'm seeing with this issue, right? The ones that are left-leaning papers. Knowing that, the second question the second realization you have to come to is that they're a business and they need to make money. That means they can't introduce ideas that are completely radical to their reader base. They need to slowly indoctrinate them or change their mind so that their product continues to be bought, right? If I'm a left-leaning paper, I can't tomorrow come up with Trump is the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody's going to cancel my subscription and I'm going to go out of business. I know who my base is. So what I'm saying is there has been an orchestrated strategy from before from way before, and I'm talking years, that has attacked the media, who started reporting more and more biased news against the Jews. Every year, slowly introducing one small element. This didn't happen overnight. It got their base somewhat comfortable. Now, politicians are business people. They're just in the business of votes. They're not in the business of making money. And maybe they are, but they're in the business of votes. And so when they're looking at the left-leaning papers, understanding that the left-leaning paper is also in business of making money, and if its reader base is so opposed as to what they're saying, then they would lose money. So obviously, if the paper is being that bold against the state of Israel, then what does it tell that politician? That they need to start appeasing more and more of that base that is becoming anti-Israel. And that's the problem. It's a catch-22 between the politicians and the papers. Now, what's our job? It's not to leave the Democrat Party. That's why I told you it's not political. I'm not telling you leave the Democrat Party, leave the Republican Party because there's white supremacist anti-Semitism. I'm not having those conversations. That's not what matters to me.
Don't let Jonah Judea hear you say that.
No, I love her. She's great.
Yeah, no, she's great.
She stands up and fights for what she believes in. But truly, I don't care, Republican, Democrat. We need to stand up against the people who are hurting our interests. So, for instance, when Nadler recently defamed IRA, completely defamed IRA, went in a political interview, voted against
quickly, just explain to my viewers what exactly IRA is.
IRA is the International Holocaust Remembrance Association definition of anti-Semitism. It has been pushed by almost every major organization, from the ADL to the World Jewish Congress, as the definition of anti-Semitism that should be used by government and by everyone. And so there was a bill that was introduced in Congress that would have made the IRA's definition of anti-Semitism in the definition to use for the Department of Education Civil Rights Department. Now, in a year where we have been seeing insane spikes in anti-Semitism that is linked to anti-Zionism, this definition incorporates some anti-Zionist activity as anti-Semitism. However, it clearly delineates between anti-Zionist anti-Semitism and then simply criticizing Israel or Israeli policy like you would any other country or state. So it was a fair statute. Now, the knock on it is that it was repressing free speech, but it didn't, because it clearly states you can continue to, criticize the Israeli government, criticize Israeli policy, but where you cross the line is when you say Israel needs to go, Israel needs to be demolished, all you Israelis are genocidal, ethnic cleansing freaks, which is complete lies, and you're using double standards to arrive to your conclusions in the statement. So that definition is needed in this modern environment of anti-Semitism that we are facing in the United States. Nadler opposed that bill. It still passed with bipartisan support, overwhelming bipartisan support. It is sitting on Schumer's desk, and it hasn't moved. You know why? Not because Schumer hates the Jews. And I'm sure, I haven't been liking what he's been doing with Israel. And I think he's betraying Israeli interests. He's betraying the Jews. But there's a motivation behind all of this. Humans are still humans. They're motivated by things. The motivation is silence from the Jewish community. I started a protest against Nadler. I made a protest against Schumer. Do you know how many people showed up to protest Nadler? 8. He just defamed the definition of anti-Semitism that would help solve the problems on campuses. He just defamed the statute that every Jewish organization has been pushing, and only 8 people want to stand outside and be vocal? I don't care if you're a Democrat. It's even more so the reason for you to stand up on the street and say, I voted for you. You're betraying my vote. You cannot vote against this bill. It is up to us to be heard. It is up to us to be loud.
You're right.
Send a message to these politicians that, hey, the media maybe has not convinced the base that you think they have with their anti-Israel rhetoric. So now when a large number of Democrats stand up against Nadler, who's a Democrat, he's going to now think about, wait a minute, maybe the conclusion I drew from looking at how the media is reporting to the Democrat base is not really in line with the base. They haven't really sold the base those ideas. So we need to be loud so we can drown out the voice of the media, who's obviously been bought off and being utilized against us. This is the problem. We're not understanding the motivations.
I have a question. Do you think that, objectively, it's not like, any of us knows, but do you think that the actual politicians have their own sources that they're getting information from, or are they just like drinking the Kool-Aid just like everyone else, like, relying on their kids, on their TikTok videos. Like, Mom, did you see that, Israel bombed the refugee center and killed 200 people? Like, are they getting
I,
their own
I
like
think it's
accurate
mixed.
sources?
I think it's mixed. I think they're seeing what they're seeing on their phones, on Instagram and on TikTok. I don't think there's anything special about politicians that make them above human. And if it's working on kids, it's working on teenagers, and it's working on adults, the social media stuff, why wouldn't it work on politicians? They also have social media. They're also scrolling. They're also seeing. So they're buying. They are being, influenced on that part, and they're starting to see now their minds work differently. It's not about the issue necessarily. It's about, how do I capitalize on this issue to win votes, or at least not lose votes. So they're looking at Instagram, and they're seeing what their messaging is, and then they're seeing the messages they're getting from the government or from whatever source they're getting it from, and they're seeing our two messages are so disassociated. One is telling us that the civilian to military casualty rate in Israel is one of the lowest in the history of modern warfare. And the other source on Instagram and on TikTok of a bunch of kids is telling
Committing a
us it's a
genocide is
genocide.
18 million dead, all women and children.
Right.
Actually, all those children are women.
So they need to start thinking about votes, right? The politicians are like, how can I? Okay, I'm just going to go here. They don't care. I truly don't believe that they care enough about Jews. I know there's a lot of them that are anti-Semites, like Rashida Tlaib. I have no problem calling her a disgusting, toxic, anti-Semite, Jew-hating, fuck,
Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going,
whatever.
keep it going. You piece of
There's so
fucking
much
shit.
wants to come out of me right now. I'm restraining myself like crazy, bro. But
Listen. You tell me how you really feel. No, nobody can hear it. Nobody's watching. Don't.
bro,
What was it again?
oh, fucking bitch.
There you go. No, listen. I feel like it's very, very un-American to stand against and openly against our number one ally. Yeah, listen. I understand, but you're fighting for your people. But what is that actually doing for your people? You can't basically demolish Israel in every single thing that you speak about, and that's going to do something for your cause. I can't understand the correlation. I don't understand why this is so hard to understand, that this is not fucking American like. It's just total un-American to do shit like that. I don't know.
They hijacked the movement, man. They hijacked the DI movement. It is unbelievable to me. By simple numbers and mathematics, how the hell can you hijack the DI movement? Why are we pressing? Look, I have many Muslim friends, and they're moderate Muslims and moderate Arabs, and ones that want to coexist and want to live in peace together. And I love those people, and they're my brothers. And honestly, I'd be very comfortable at events with them, more so than Americans sometimes. Honestly, we share the same language, we share the same foods. Like, we can chill, like straight. Like, really, I've chilled many times. But
you and all your white colonizers, I get it.
Right, but you don't need one bill after another to fight Islamophobia. Now, the world of DEI tells you this. The world of DEI tells you there's something called equity. And equity means some people are just so disenfranchised that we have to give them more rights or more of a bucket to stand on so that they can even reach. So let me put it very simply.
Right, similar like a learning curve or a point curve, like a teacher would give you. If you showed up like 2 weeks into the semester and you didn't learn it, we'll give you a couple of points extra.
So it's a little different. It's like, imagine you're watching a baseball field, right? There's a fence and there's a baseball game happening across the fence. There's two people standing behind the fence. If I give both of these feet, and one is 3 feet tall, the fence is 6 feet tall, let's say. One of the persons is 3 feet tall, the other one is 5 feet. If I give them both a 2-foot step stool, it's equal. They're both given equality. But the person that's 3 feet tall still can't see over the fence, and the person that's 5 feet tall now can. So it's not equitable. So what equity tells you to do is that you got to give this 3-foot person a 4-foot stool so he can be, and then give the other person a 2-foot stool. So that's equity. And
like communism to me.
Yeah, but somehow that's a definition of equity. And honestly, a lot of corporations have started to move away from it. One of the biggest HR organizations in the world that has stripped the word equity out because it's not working. It's bullshit. But they've hijacked the movement and they somehow convinced the world that the Palestinians, that the Arabs are the people that need equity on their side. And now it's absurd to me because when you tell them, wait, can we write a bill to protect white men from racism, white racism? That DEI school tells you that is a preposterous statement to make. The whites are the majority. The majority never need protection from the minority. The whites are the ones in power. Well, really, motherfucker, let's talk about it. How many Muslims exist in this world? There's 1.9 million, 1.9 billion Muslims.
The last research I did, it was at 2.3 billion Muslims worldwide.
So let's say 2 billion. 2 billion Muslims.
Yeah,
how many people
we'll
are in
split
the
the
world?
difference. 2 billion.
Right.
I mean, there's
how many people
what,
are in the world? 7 people?
6 trillion, something like that.
No, 67 billion. That means
in the world, are we
in
in the
the
trillions?
No, my man, 6 to 7 billion in the entire world. That means Muslims make up over 20% of the world's population, and that's the most conservatively low estimate, up to 30% of the world's population. So why do you need continuous bills to fight Islamophobia? That is equivalent to saying I need a bill to protect white men against racism. They are a majority. They do not need protection from a 15 million person minority, a Jewish population that doesn't equal to a percentage of their population. So this whole idea of equity has been twisted.
So I could understand from the point of view of directly after 9/11, but in today's day and age, like I mean, I did a video about this not too long ago, and I'll ask you 5 questions or 4 questions. Do you see any Muslims being randomly attacked in the streets today?
Few, but very rarely.
Okay. Do you see any mosques being broken into and defaced and graffitied?
Not that I have heard of, no.
Do you see any protests calling for the extermination or the death of all Muslims?
No.
Do you see any Muslims being ousted from their positions of power or their jobs just because they're Muslims?
No.
Do you see any Muslims? Okay. Do you see any Muslims being stopped from walking across a campus quad to get to the library simply because they're Muslim?
No.
Okay. Now, each one of those questions, replace it with Jews. And instead of mosques, it's synagogues or Jewish businesses. Yes. So why are we introducing a bill or a national strategy to fight Islamophobia? And I think that is what, and I don't want to get into politics, but that is one of the roots of the problem. And then the justification for why we're supposed to trust this person that I'm talking about, that I'm not going to really mention, is that her significant other is Jewish, and that's supposed to just, oh, okay, yeah, like that's trustworthy because she's married to a Jew. Oh, I guess I just let the cat out of the bag, but who cares? But are you frozen right now, or are you just like very heavily in thought?
No. You were frozen, and I guess I was frozen as well. Okay. But yeah, no, it's absurd to me. It's nothing more than appeasement, and they will continue doing it. And so for the people that support this candidate, and God bless you, I'm not telling you not to. It is vital for you to be louder than those people that are screaming at her, right? The reason Schumer isn't moving that bill off of his desk to truly fight anti-Semitism today on college campuses is because he knows that the second he does it, he will have a protest of pro-Palestinian people outside of his office day and night, making his life freaking miserable, making their voice heard. He knows if he betrays us and doesn't do anything, people are going to be like, yes, but he's Schumer, he loves Israel, he's helped us in the past, he's not really that bad, this is a political play, and there's excuse after excuse, and it's like, well, do you want to support the Democrats? Because if you do, you better start standing up against them. Because soon enough, you're not going to have a party to stand with no matter how badly you want them. That's the point. Don't change. But just show them that the cost of appeasing the other side is going to be a heavy political cost for them to pay. That is your job. That is our job as Jewish activists. Remind them the cost of betraying us is not going to come with silence. It is going to be a heavy, heavy political price in the voting booth. It's going to be heavy in noises outside. Our feet are going to take to the streets. We are going to protest. We are going to be heard. Imagine if 1,000 Democrat Jews in New York, 1,000, there's millions of Jews, just 1,000 protested outside of Nadler's office for 3 days after he bashed IRA. How fast do you think Schumer would have moved that bill?
very quickly. And I
Okay.
think the only problem, and it's not an excuse, but because like, I mean, I guess it is an excuse, but it's like Jews are really about self-preservation, and it's like they work, they don't have the time to allocate to
I
come
know.
to, and I hate even justifying it because it's like, okay, well, if you're going to stand for something, then this is the thing to stand for. And it's like when you're up against the sheer numbers that we're up against, when a percentage of them can afford not to go to work, or not really afford, they just don't care, or they just don't have a job, period. I mean, I saw a video where somebody's asking them, be like, yeah, well, what do you do for a living?
I saw that.
Oh, that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Well, how are you here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a fucking Tuesday, and you're not working? Like, I mean, and I think that I mean, I wish a bill was introduced where if these people are exposed and they're out there chanting "Death to America" and they're out there on the street when they should be out looking for work, and they're collecting government assistance in any
Welfare.
sort of way. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not judging anybody, but if you're
Oh
out
hell
there
no!
screaming,
Listen, hell
if
no.
you're out there screaming "Death to America" and you're here on a work visa, or you're here and you're collecting government assistance, or you're collecting state assistance because you're not out there working, or you're on welfare, and you have the time to go out there and protest, then you should have the time to go out there and find the job, and you should be penalized. I mean, I don't know about deporting you all, but I mean, but you should be penalized somehow in some way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's insane to us as immigrants. It is freaking insane seeing people like my mother when I first started speaking out, and I bashed Rashida Tlaib. She was frightened. She's like, "Oh my God, you spoke bad about a politician." Right? Like we come from a world where you don't have the you open your
Right? You
mouth
get you get
against a
shot.
politician,
Yeah.
mukhabarat is coming, and it's America, so we do have the freedom, and we are working, but we need to be loud because you're not going to get a bill, and I'm telling you this from now. You
You're frozen. I don't know if you can see me.
you're not going to get a bill to restrict people from. Can you hear? I can see it.
Okay, well,
You'll never get a
I
bill
think
there.
we're back.
There was a Supreme Court case against the Westboro Baptist Church. They used to protest outside of the military people who passed away, who were killed in combat. And so they used to say horrible slurs, stand outside of the funeral procession, literally right outside, holding signs. You're black, whatever, you're going to burn. You're gay, you're going to burn in hell. You're this horrible shit, right? They were sued. The Westboro Baptist Church sued, said we have the absolute First Amendment right to do this. The Supreme Court sided with them and said, of course, you do have the First Amendment right to be as horrible as you want. So you're not going to pass a bill that's going to ban it. What we need are Jews that say, you know what? I know I'm working, and I know this is important. I know I have a law firm, and I know I have children, and I know I have a barbecue on Sunday. But if
Froze up on me again.
these mother effers come to my town, I'm coming out. I'm standing up face to face. I'm showing them that I'm not taking shit. I'm coming out to the street because this is the future of our children. Look, I mean, a lot of people, multi-generational, may not be worried. And I'll be honest with you. Most of the immigrants or recent immigrant Jews that I know and that I ask, who are you going to vote for? They're going for one side. Multi-generational Americans have been going to the other. And I understand when you live in a country for many, many generations, you start feeling the idea that you belong integrally to this country. But don't be fooled. You're a Jew. You only belong in Israel. And this country, Europe, Syria, Venezuela, I don't give a shit. You're eventually going to face anti-Semitism. And if you're not going to fight back against it, you're going to be displaced from it. And that is why the first immigrant Jews, the Jews that were just kicked out of countries, the Jews that came from the Soviet, they're more sensitive to this, and they're like, "You look, I don't care about any other social issue. I don't care about anything else. This person can be horrible. I'm going with this person who I think is going to provide me the most cover." Now, for me personally, I've never said this before, and I'm not saying it here. I am waiting for one thing to happen. I am waiting for Donald Trump to bash Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, and white supremacist anti-Semitism. And I'm also waiting for Kamala Harris to go strong after Rashida Tlaib and after
And
all these
Ilhan Omar.
anti-Semites on the left, the protesters. No appeasement, No, they're starving children in Gaza, spewing misinformation about Israel. Bold face. Whoever can do that will have my own loyalty. Because the bravery of a politician fighting anti-Semitism comes from them fighting anti-Semitism that lies on their side. Every other form is easy. It's just another political attack across the way. They're talking about the march in Charlottesville. And people walked around. People walked around for a fucking night with tiki torches. Horrible, disgusting, vile pieces of shit. They did it for one night. There have been people for 9 months.
9 months.
Where the hell have you been on college campuses? 9 months. Where's your bravery? Where's your stand against anti-Semitism? Or is it only
Rashida and Ilhan Umar were both on college campuses, but they were with the protesters. They were kind of egging them on, and then Kamala basically said that the anti-Israel protesters is exactly where the human spirit should be.
It's fucking retarded. It's insane.
Insane.
It's insane. And Jews feel the need to cover for her? Criticize her, vote for her, but criticize her. I mean, I can't vote. I can't, like, honestly, the amount of stuff, the amount of betrayal I've been feeling from her husband. He's Jewish. He's Jewish. Look how he raised his Jewish daughter. His Jewish daughter is doing fundraisers for Gaza from the second that things happen in Gaza. No Jew raises his daughter like that. Jewish only when it comes to attacking Jews or attacking Israel. There's nothing else about these people are Jewish. Nothing else. Do they keep kosher? What kind of lifestyle do they live? Nothing. Judaism is never mentioned. For your daughter to be so far gone that she's raising a fundraiser for the terrorists that decided to murder our own people, that means you did not introduce the concept of identity of Judaism to your daughter in the least a bit. So don't you stand now and tell me I am a Jew. You're a shitty Jew. A Jew that couldn't even tell his daughter what it meant to be a Jew, how to pridefully stand with your people, how oppressed we have been, but how we continue to resist and stand on top. That is a Jew. A Jew is somebody who delivers that spirit to their children and embeds it in their children's emotions. Judaism isn't to be used when you want to attack us to stand apart from the mainstream. Judaism is used when you're going to stand in opposition to the people that you believe like you and you like. Otherwise, you're just assimilating and you're using your Judaism as a token. And screw you, I have no interest in that bullshit.
Absolutely. I'm coming to pick you up. We're going to fuck some people up right now. Let's go.
No violence. No violence. I'm a peaceful man.
I'll be violent. You get me out of trouble. You're the lawyer. I'm the criminal.
I'm a peaceful man.
That was hard right there. Like, I mean, in the hip hop world, we would have went bars because that was beautiful, man.
I told you I'm real, bro. I'm real. I need Republicans to criticize white supremacy. I never let anybody slide. And so the Jews that get offended by this, or they're like, "Oh my God, how can you speak against her? The end of our democracy is coming."
Well, I'll answer for you. Go fuck yourself. Okay, continue.
No, but I'm like, I don't understand. I didn't tell you. I didn't make a statement about whether I vote for her or I don't. I am attacking a policy. I am attacking a statement. I am doing what you, the person that loves Kamala Harris, should be doing louder than me, so that you can push her to our side because she's a politician. That means she wants votes. And so the louder voice, the louder side wins.
The funny thing is that it's like when people criticize, like, your right to criticize other people, meanwhile, and that's within this country, but meanwhile, people have the right to criticize people outside the country. It's like, wait a second. It's like these double standards. It's almost like, stop the genocide, but death to all the Jews. It's like, wait. So it's only genocide is cool when it's just the Jews. I get it. All right. This double standard is fucking insane. It's asinine. Like on all fronts. I mean, and it's almost being used like a psychological weapon of war to divide us, to make us go insane. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know if you could tell by the way I look, but I'm fucking losing it. Every day with the scrolling and the madness all the time. It's like, the only thing that kind of like brought me like down to like reality and like kind of like centered me out is that Rappaport finally accepted one of my collaborations. So I was like, all right, I'm doing the right thing here.
No, he's the man, bro. I'm telling you, if there's one person I admire, it is Michael Rappaport. The man has stood against people from his own industry. You know how hard that is? Somebody that has spent time with these people, who's loved by these people, who's friends with these people, to say, screw it, I'm willing to put those friendships and those relationships on the line for my people. That's a Jew. That's a Jew to me. Not Doug Emhoffen's daughter. That's a Jew. You want to see a Jew? I don't need to show you a rabbi. I need to show you Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport.
In him, in his heart, is the spirit of a Jew, a real emet Jew. That's, you know, these words, these apartheid, genocide. Bro, it is so easy.
Well, I wanted to tell you something. That video that you did the other day, your voice has been stuck in my head. They're gonna come for you.
It's great. I heard the song. I'm like, oh my God.
This motherfucker. When I speak to him, I'm like that thing has just been in my head day in and day out. Well, I'm like, I'm gonna kill Abraham.
I took out the last bars. The last bars, they're gonna come for you anyways. They're gonna come for you anyways. They're gonna come for you anyways. Hamas is coming, you self-hating Jew.
Good. And they're all coming. I don't think Jewish people that are for that other side realize that just because you're wearing a keffiyeh, they will still fucking kill you and throw you off a roof. I don't get these people.
They're ashamed. Look, I tell people this. This is the problem in college campuses. Imagine you're a white kid from South Dakota. You can care less about Israel or Palestine or any other fucking place in the Middle East. All right, we're being real. And you come onto a college campus and you're looking at the pro-Palestinian side, and they are so strong in their belief and how they protest and how they speak, and they're so exclusionary and discriminatory, and it frightens the hell out of you. Then you look at the Jewish side, and it's like, we've been trying to give you land for 75 years. You keep saying no, it's so not fair. We want peace. I love Palestinians. I'm pro-Palestinian and Jewish. How many fucking videos did we see on October 10th? I'm pro-Palestinian, but let me tell you what that really means. No, let me tell you what that really means. You're pro the genocide of goddamn Jews. You're pro Jews not having a piece of their land, because if you think by saying you're pro a two-state solution, you're pro-Palestinian, you're not. You are actually an arrogant fuck, because what you're doing is completely ignoring the voices of the Palestinians that you say you care about. They have been clear in a mass majority that the only way they want peace is if they have the entirety of the state of Israel. That's what they want. So telling them that I'm on your side because I think you should have two lands is telling them what you want is great, but shut the fuck up, because I truly don't care. This is the right thing to do, and this is what you now want. It is arrogant, dangerous, and wrong. So these white kid that's coming onto college campus, looking at the pro-Israel side, looking at the pro-Jewish side, he's saying there is room for me, like the politician, to appease the crazy pro-Palestinians. I'm going to go to my Jewish friends and tell them, listen, I love you guys, and of course I believe in Israel's right to exist, but I'm a pro-Palestine. Oh, of course you are. We get it. Yeah, we are too. Okay, great. Now he's hanging out more with these pro-Palestinian kids who started accepting him. And these Jewish kids are feeling left out, especially the ones that haven't been brought up with strong Jewish identity or strong Jewish roots. They're feeling left out of those parties of encampments, because let's be real, they're just disgusting, like filthy people in the middle of a campus having a partying or doing whatever the fuck they're doing. So these kids, these Jewish kids have been brought up with no Judaism. Ever.
Listen, I just hope some of these Jewish kids that took part in these fucking encampments at least caught some fucking head from some hot pro-Pally babies.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, like, let's be real. That's why they go to college. The Katuas, you know? But
we need to introduce Judaism to her. We need her on our side.
But, they have nothing else about Judaism. They've been taught nothing. So what do you expect from them? What do you expect from these self-hating kids, Jewish kids? I can't expect much. They've been taught zero about their identity, zero about anything about Judaism. They're coming to college campus, and they're seeing these people who are pulling more and more support towards their side. They're like, yo.
It starts even before that. I mean, the SJP, basically they have like a system where like all incoming freshmen, they'll like go to orientation, they'll go to their dorm rooms, and they'll start passing out literature on the first day. Like, it's like the indoctrination starts right there. Yeah. And then you have the JVP, which is the fucking jihadist Jews for peace, which it's completely pro-Palestinian. The fact that they're even allowed to use the word Jewish in their fucking name, like, really, really upsets me because it's completely fucking hogwash. It's bullshit.
And now
But
what are we doing? What are we doing? We're distributing information about how nice we are to people. We continue trying to fight this from a place of acceptance and love. Get over it. These people are not going to love you nor accept you. We have faced anti-Semitism for thousands of years for a reason. It's an intergenerational hate. Hell, it's embedded within a lot of people's DNA. They're not going to love you. You need to be strong so they respect you, that they don't disrespect you, that they don't stamp all over your goddamn rights. That's what you need. You don't need love. You need to be heard and you need to be appreciated. So I'm sorry, Jewish college students, where's your anti-Palestine propaganda handing out to the students on college for the last 10 years, right? Why aren't our organizations taking the fight to them? Why are we always on the defensive, always talking about how much we try to make peace? I mean, look, if I wasn't Jewish, I'd be like, this group is trying to hide something. This group is not willing to compromise anything. That means they're right. That's just how, look, you're living in an age of weak people. And these pro-Palestinian movements, the SJP and all these other lovely organizations are utilizing shame. And it works beautifully. I mean, whether you agreed with BLM or didn't agree with BLM, I wanted to see one business during the height of BLM put a post outside of their business saying, I stand against BLM. Even if they agreed with BLM, they won't do it. You know why? Because that movement was embedded and built on shame. We need to shame people. We need to call people out. We need to cancel people so that they're so scared that they won't leave our side. This is the same tactic being used by the pro-Palestinian side. And this is why they lob statements like ethnic cleansing, apartheid, genocide, because they want, it's such a charged term that they want you to be ashamed for even standing with Israel. They want you to be ashamed to be associated with these fake words that they're throwing. And when you don't have strong identity to back you up, and when you don't have facts and knowledge, you're going to fall for that shit. Or if you're just a random white kid. So if we need to really, if we want to win this, we need to educate our college students. We need to educate our high school, our elementary school students with real pride of what it means to be a Jew. What the hell is Judaism beyond of the fairy tales and lovely stories? Learn the Torah, learn about Israel, learn everything it means to be a Jew. I mean, I hear so many Jews who have no idea about Judaism tell me they became Buddhists. Why'd you become Buddhist? It's a very spiritual, I have nothing against Buddhism, but like, why'd you become Buddhist? It's a very spiritual religion.
have you ever heard about the Kabbalah?
Like, you know what I mean?
Like Jewish mysticism.
You don't know Judaism. No,
yeah, we have some Jewish witchcraft shit.
I learned that Adam went and spoke to a snake and ate an apple. Like, that's what you learn in first grade. Judaism is extremely mystical and extremely spiritual. We're abandoning it to try to fit in with different cultures instead of holding on to who we are, which is Am Yisrael. That's how we win this. Pridefully hold on to who we are and stand in front of anybody that disagrees, anybody that tries to disrespect us or take away our rights from us.
Be more like Abraham and me and less like the fucking cowards that fucking run and hide and let their knees tremble, because we're all we got. Nobody is coming. Yeah, nobody is coming to our rescue. And and I made this analogy the other day that in business, no investor is going to come and basically bail you out unless they see that you have significant stake in your own game.
Yeah.
Unless people see that we're standing up for ourselves and we're willing to fucking do some, even if we're willing to do some wild shit, it's like no one else is going to jump on our bandwagon. Like you said, they're going to think we're hiding something. We're trying to, like mask the truth from coming out or something. But if we stand for what we believe in and we do it with a dominating, I mean, I hate to say with an iron fist, but sometimes it might actually come to that. Nobody else is going to, join and fight with us.
Okay.
So it's like I really respect the standpoint of where you come from, where I know you're a nonviolent person, but you speak with such authority that those words hit like fucking 10 people throwing a fucking Mike Tyson right hand. So I appreciate everything you do. Anytime that like your post comes up, I'm always like, I mean, even before you even say anything, I'm hitting like because I know
you're the man.
I know I'm gonna like it.
Well, whenever you hit with your spins, like you hit it, it's fire, bro. Hey, listen, you're strong too. You stand up. You're saying what you want to say. You say, I look at the comment section sometimes, especially a lot of your videos, and it's like, you're committing genocide. What do you expect from people who are under occupation? Resistance is justified when people are. And I'm like, oh my God.
They didn't
You
watch the video.
fucking
It's like
like, bro,
they're bots, fucking assholes.
bro. I'm like, yeah, yeah. Resistance is justified when people are occupied. So, what kind of resistance is justified for me against Syria? Huh?
I mean,
What should I do? I don't want to do anything to Syria. You know why? Because my Judaism teaches me to build rather than destroy. And when they decide to start learning that little tactic, that little change in their heart from destruction and hate to love and building, maybe then you can come to me and talk about different solutions to our issues. But there is no current solution other than Israel taking out Hamas, Israel taking out every terrorist organization that lies within Gaza and in the West Bank, Israel taking a real strong grip over Gaza. Occupation. I don't give a shit. Don't become terrorists. You won't be goddamn occupied. It's that simple. Israel needs to unapologetically take that shit over and work with Arab government like the UAE,
UAE.
Saudis, right? And work with them because they know how to control that population. I don't believe. I look, Israel's great. I love Israel, and I love Israel with all my heart. They don't really know how to deal with these people. They don't. They need to deal with them with brutality that you've never seen in your life before. That's how they learn. Listen, after they hit the Druze, you heard the Druze to Netanyahu. You better respond with fear. If you don't, we're coming. And they're goddamn right. Give them the goddamn keys. Let them go fight Hezbollah with us. Let them command that war. The amount of brutality, but that's how they learn because they have something that says jihad is not permissible when you are weak. Jihad is not permissible when you risk losing land because of jihad. Take their fucking land. Take their fucking land. Sorry, you want my hostage? I want, people like hostages. I want the hostages back immensely. My dad and I spoke about this on October 8th. You know what my dad tells me? We spoke about this. I told him, you're 100% right, Dad. He said, you want the hostages back? This is what you do. You lock up the gates. You lock up the gates of Al-Aqsa. Don't destroy. Nobody in, nobody out. Until my hostages are back. No building is more important than human lives. Second thing that happens is the Palestinian terrorist prisoners that are in the jail of Israel are not going to be used as bargaining chip because their sentence is going to be turned into a death penalty sentence. And you're going to start executing 100 of those mother effers a day, because that's who the Hamas actually gives a shit about, their terrorist buddies, not the people in Gaza, obviously. The third thing you do, you start taking away the West Bank, or what they call the West Bank. You start taking back our Judea and our Samaria, mile by mile, day by day. Until our hostages is back, we are going to do everything you have accused us of. Ethnic cleansing, you got it, motherfucker. Anybody that lives in Judea and Samaria are going to be continually pushed towards Jordan, never to come back again. This land will never be relinquished. You return our hostages, or every day we're taking a mile until nothing is fucking left of the West Bank. Now, people are going to jump and say, oh my God, that is so extreme. Really? It's so fucking extreme? Return our hostages. It's that simple. It would end it.
Yeah. And listen, sometimes an extreme situation calls for an extreme retaliation. And people don't understand.
Extreme. Return the hostages. There's no more retaliation. Finish.
I've asked every single person in this context, and we'll wrap up after this. If somebody kidnapped your daughter and you know where that motherfucker is holding your daughter, you have the opportunity to fucking take all of them out and get your daughter back. Are you just killing one of those one of the people that took your daughter? Or are you basically killing everybody that allowed that to happen? I'm torching the entire block. I'm fucking, doing before you die. I'm taking a fucking DNA sample. Exactly. But
I'm
anyway,
screaming Allahu Akbar and I'm going, baby.
There you go. But yeah, no, I feel like, your voice is so super essential, and anything I could do to amplify your message and what you stand for, and the next time you do hold any sort of like protest or anything, I'll definitely be there. And I'm saying it on here, as long as I don't have to take my father to like a doctor's appointment, then I'm definitely there. Even though like I live a little far from the city, but it's not out of my reach, so I can get there, not a problem. But yeah, tell everyone where they can find you, where they can follow you, if there's anything that you want to like let people know about you, and what they could do to help grow your voice or grow your brand, or if they get in trouble and they need a lawyer, whatever.
So they can find me on Instagram. My handle is Abraham Hamra, AbrahAmHamra. And I talk a lot about anti-Semitism in the United States. I talk about my experience as a Syrian Jew, about Jews of Arab countries, of Arab worlds, and our displacement. I talk everything Israel, and I try to showcase a Jewish lifestyle. So time to time, I'll take pictures of my kids, or my kids singing, or me putting on tefillin, or whatever, showing our Judaism, because I take pride in that, and I want other people to take pride in that. So it'd mean a lot if people followed me, shared my content, let my voice be heard, let people in America understand that there's a different type of Jew also. There's a Jew that makes up the majority of the state of Israel. You guys are shitting on us all day. You might as well learn who we are that make up the majority of the state of Israel. Now, so share my shit. You agree with me or you don't. Talk to me. Let's have conversations. I'll debate you anytime. I'm blunt. I'm straight up. I don't give a shit if I offend you or I don't offend you. I'm here to tell you the truth and to stand with my people.
Yeah, bro. Fuck yeah. I mean, I was gonna go amen, but it fuck yeah, just seemed like the right fit.
I
So
appreciate
listen, I so appreciate you taking your time. I'd like to leave you with a quote that I end all my podcast with, and I'd like you to attribute this to your life as well as I attribute it to mine. We are all here for just a small cup of coffee. I'm just trying to drink it while it's still hot. I'm your boy. I am Joe Paul. This has been the Verified Podcast, chopping it up with my boy, Abraham Hamra. He is the king of Syria. Make no mistake about it. He's coming to take the entire land back. He has his own right of return. Peace and love, motherfuckers. I love y'all.